Hi everybody. Here we are at Fitchburg Airport. We're going to be going up to do a quick practice. It is Thursday, late afternoon after work, and getting ready for the sportsman competition at Keene, New Hampshire on Saturday. So wanted to continue to explain or discuss the what goes into doing an aerobatics competition with sort of a simple plane, with the Citabria 7ECA, and what you may consider if you're looking to do something similar. So anyway, so the first thing we need to do is do a good pre-flight on the plane. The Citabrias, well, actually there is a version of the Citabria that does have an inverted oil system, the KCAB, but this one doesn't, and most of them do not. As a consequence, not only does the engine sputter or even quit when we're upside down, but we're kind of blowing oil out too. So one of the things to do is to check that you've got oil and kind of, put a little bit extra in, because you're going to be losing it. Unfortunately, it kind of causes a mess as it comes out. But that's one of the, I guess, challenges. It's not that really big of an issue for the sportsman routines. We're not maintaining inverted flight anywhere, but when you're doing a slow roll, for example, the engine is going to sputter or quit when you're in the upside down portion, because you're doing negative G's on that maneuver, or anywhere where you're doing some negative G's. So the other sort of challenge, and let me show this because not many people are aware. So when you start out doing aerobatic lessons, most likely going to be doing it on a super decathlon. They're the most common aerobatic trainers, and unless you're unlucky enough to do it in a Citabria. but one of the things, and hopefully this will come out on the video, but if you take a look at the wing profile of the Citabria, it's at a V. So each wing is kind of slightly going up. It's called a dihedral. And the reason that is designed that way, and many other planes are designed that way too. If we take a look at, I don't know if it's visible, but you can see how sharp it is on this Beech Baron. It's a really nice Baron, but look at that wing kind of, angling up, and same on the other side. And okay, from the distance, it might be easier to see the same on the Citabria. Not as extreme, but it's still a pretty strong V. Benefit of that is that it's actually gives it quite a bit of stability. So as opposed to the super decathlon, is exactly straight. In turbulence and things like that, because of the dihedral, this plane will want to settle back to the center. In fact, I've tested this, since I do have this certified for IFR and have flown minimal IFR with it, but I have tested it. I can fly this hands off, even in turbulence, and it will always settle back. It's pretty neat. You don't need an autopilot in a Citabria. Very stable planes. So that's the benefit. Also helps, in terms of soaking up turbulence and things like that. But one of the downsides for aerobatics is that it is, since it doesn't want to move away from, since it is stable on its axis, it will roll more slowly. So as slow as the super decathlon rolls, a Citabria is even slower, and not just because of the wing profile. The wing is actually longer. You can see where the ailerons end. On a super decathlon, the wing ends right about there too. So this is just a little bit longer, again resulting in a slower roll, and I believe the ailerons are a little bit shorter as well. So So those are, you know, some of the things that you will be dealing with. I have spades on mine to make the control forces be lighter. These are common things on aerobatic aircraft. And I would say you really need it on the Citabria. It's not going to make your roll be faster, but it will make the stick forces be a lot lighter and easier for you to maintain full aileron application. Let's see, as we're going around just to double check, especially since we're in a shared hangar, and making sure that plane wasn't, you know, dinged, and that everything is in a good shape. So I can even feel, as I'm checking the ailerons, I can feel how oily it is underneath. And that's all from the oil coming out, especially when you're sort of doing a roll. Double check all the hinges. And you're also looking for, like, on these fabric covered airplanes, you know, you want to check the fabric as well, make sure that none of these attachment points as it's tied on is coming loose, or the fabric being damaged. On mine in particular, the rudder could use a recover, so that is on the list to do at some point. And coming around, so then the last thing with the wing is the wing profile, and this is a normal. Well, I'm not sure how well it will come across, but you know, a Citabria has a normal profile for a wing. It's flat on the bottom, curved on the top. You know, the air accelerates over the top, pulls the plane up, so you have an efficient wing. Super Decathlon has a symmetrical wing, where the bottom is also curved like that. And that allows it to fly more or less equally well upside down as right side up. So that's another significant benefit for aerobatics. Without that, it means that when I am upside down doing, not really the loop, I suppose, but certainly doing the aileron roll or any half rolls in like the half Cuban and other maneuvers, it means that because the wing it's only relying on the wing surface, basically, you know, kiting the plane. That means when I'm upside down, I really need to push that nose up, so that, you know, so that the wing is effective. I can't do, for me to do an aileron roll, it's supposed to look like level and exactly turning around like that. That's just not possible in a Citabria. If you're attempting to start level and keep the nose level on the horizon, you're going to be losing altitude once you're upside down, or start to turn upside down and then being upside down. So instead, for the aileron roll, I got to pull up really quick and then start to turn, so that when I'm upside down, I'm actually in this position, so that I'm getting lift from just the wing surface, not from the wing shape, just from the wing surface hitting the air, and then continuing the roller around. So that is a factor in any rolling maneuver in any airplane that has a flat bottom wing, such as the Citabria. All right, so last, with this particular Citabria, it's only 115 horsepower. It's, again, the 7 ECA. And that's perhaps my biggest hindrance, taking all the wing and the non-inverted fuel system aside. The biggest hindrance really is the low horsepower that I have. And people would think that it's my inability to climb that is a hindrance, and that's somewhat of a hindrance in practice. It takes me a long time to get back up. But that's not really the hindrance for competition. The hindrance is my top speed is only 100 miles an hour. Entry speed for loops and almost all maneuvers is 140 miles an hour. Even for the roll, you want to be at 120 preferably. So that means I need to dive for each maneuver. And when you're doing a competition, ideally between each maneuver, you know, you want to be able to kind of draw a straight line. And if you've got time, it's nice to have your routine printed, and you can take a look and see what's coming up. I basically don't have any time between the maneuvers. Not only am I now losing altitude with each with each maneuver coming down, just simply due to the lack of efficiency of the wing, etc. I now need to continue to lose altitude to again dive down to the entry speed for the next maneuver. And so I can't just fly horizontally in between. Even if I cheat a little bit and I kind of decline a little bit or descend a little bit, I'm still slowing down. Some of my coaches had difficulty believing this, but yeah, if I hit 140 on the exit, and if I maintain any level flight or even a slight descent, I'm going to be slowing down in this airplane pretty quickly. So I can't really, I don't have the luxury to be able to wait in between. I got to start the next maneuver, because otherwise I would have lost it, and I would have to take a break and dive down to, climb back up or dive down, whatever, to pick up the entry speed. So that is my biggest frustration and challenge that I find with this particular airplane with the low horsepower, is that I have such a big gap between my top speed of about 100 or maybe 105, but it would take forever to get to 105, and 140 miles an hour, that I have to have momentum and keep momentum up. At the end of each loop, I can't do a perfectly circular loop. I now have to extend down to be able to hit the 140 again. And bam, 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 I got to do the next stuff, because otherwise I lose it. So that is a challenge. And then finally, the last thing with the Citabrias is that they don't have a constant speed propeller. So on the Super Decathlon and just about all aerobatic airplanes, I shouldn't say just about, but most aerobatic airplanes, you have a constant speed propeller. You adjust your power, you adjust your RPM, you go out and you do practically all your routines. You power back on the spin and things like that, but you don't have to touch the power. Here, without the constant speed propeller, I'm constantly adjusting the power so that you don't overspeed. In a dive, I can't have full power, or I will overspeed the propeller. So I have to do that all manually to maintain the RPM. And that was a challenge initially when I was starting to fly aerobatics in the Citabria. My previous experience was in the Super Decathlon, and I was actually quite frustrated, because you're trying to do you're trying to learn new things. I didn't have that much aerobatics instruction time, I have to admit, and so you're still trying to get used to the plane, get used to the maneuvers, and now you have to worry about overspeeding your engine and adjusting the propeller. So that was, I have to admit, is a challenge. I also have to say, for those of you considering doing this, to stick with it, because pretty quickly, I guess, or after a while anyway, you just get so used to it that you're doing it subconsciously, pretty much. So your hand is on the throttle, and you're just keep adjusting it like pretty much automatically, just based on the sound of the motor, and or out of the corner of the eye, keeping it on the tack. But it basically becomes a non-issue. And in fact, there are lots of benefits to a fixed pitch prop. One is maintenance. They hardly need any maintenance. Yeah, you refinish them now and then, but otherwise, you don't have the constant speed hub and the oil system and everything else to worry about, and the seals that go on out on the blades and etc. So none of that. It's a lot less expensive, obviously, to begin with, and then it's much, much less expensive to maintain, because you pretty much you don't have to worry about it. The other benefit is weight. A constant speed propeller adds about 40 pounds right to the nose of the airplane. So having a fixed pitch prop, you save roughly 40 pounds. And that goes, where you can carry more stuff. So to me, that's a huge advantage. So for these reasons, were I to upgrade from this plane to a Decathlon, and if I didn't want to spend the money for the latest Super Ds that have a higher useful load, et cetera, if I wanted to get an older one, Actually, I wouldn't mind getting upgrading to an original Decathlon with a 150 horsepower engine and a fixed pitch prop, because I'm so used to the prop now that I just find it a non-issue, really. So that, I don't find that to be a hindrance, not in the competition. I mean, just put in power, pull back as you need it. So that's not a problem, and I would rather save the weight. And that's about it. So let's get ready and let's go up and practice the Sportsman a couple more times before the competition.